everybody. We are actually
Well, I've been sitting here on this dock by the bay, watching my blue skies turn to gray. Didn't know if I should run or stay, so I pulled up Mike's weather page, 'cause Mike's weather page, you know he's got the news to keep you safe. Mike's weather page is only a click or two away. Well, I admit that I had one or a few, 'cause I was down and I was feeling blue. But then I clicked on Mike's fan page. I saw all my friends now, I'm okay. 'Cause Mike's weather page, you know he's got the news to keep you safe. Mike's weather page is only a click or two away. We all know Mike's a real fun guy. He'll track the storms as they blow by. But when the drunk donkey comes out to play, Miss Julie take its phone away. 'Cause Mike's weather page, you know it's got the news to keep you safe. Mike's weather page is only a click or two away.
Not sure what the gusts are, but
well, there's Louie and her
definitely,
no telling what they're gonna do.
I think we're seeing a little higher gusts.
More than a million fans. Yeah, 'cause now Mike's weather page, you know it's got the
trying to keep the camera from getting wet.
Mike's weather page is only a click or two away. Mike's weather page, you know it's got the news to keep you safe. Mike's weather page is only a click or two away.
Yeah. Somebody just mentioned that's the first time they heard this song. What's up, Dale? How was church this morning, buddy? Speaking of this song, you know, I just wrote my good buddy Andy Simmons an email. I hope he writes me back. Andy wrote us a lot of songs just for our page. And he was hit. Perry, Florida was pretty much ground zero for Idalia, and it was really beat up really bad. I know it didn't get a lot of news because it's, you know, not your large town, but Perry, man, there was a lot of tree damage. So hopefully you're doing good, Andy, if you're watching, buddy. All right, so this is Special Live. This is Hunter. Hunter gave me the little puppy eyes today, so he kind of wanted to be the star. Look at him. He's so proud. He's like, I'm the dog today. What's up with the roller coaster? Anybody know why? What's up with the roller coaster? All right, so we're going to talk Tropics. This is our daily brew brought to you by our great friends at ABC Fine Wine and Spirits. Hopefully you got to visit them this weekend here in Florida and enjoying a nice weekend. We had some spotty showers throughout the state. We have a frontal line number 1, soon to be overtaken by frontal line number 2, which will be pulling up Lee soon. Good morning, Miss Sheila Ross. What's up, Mr. Hubbard? Man, you know, Dylan, I hate it going away from our Ada 2.0. We never did follow up. I want to know how John's Pass did there with the flooding. But yeah, peak season. Everybody got it right. Shauna, Cliff, roller coaster, Jarrett, peak of season. Lisa, yep, everybody got it. Peak of season. It's all downhill from here. Hope that doesn't mean things are going to be worse. Sometimes when people say things are all downhill, it's not a good thing. So, let's hope not, right? All right, so let's take a look at Lee. We're going to talk all about Lee. There hasn't been many changes with Lee. Oh, heck, man. More flooding. Dylan, God, man, you know, I missed all the coverage here locally. I know we got a lot of flooding. I don't think I saw any news about it. I don't know what the deal was. I don't know. It was a big deal, man. The flooding from Idalia was unbelievable. I just didn't see it. I'll stick around next time. What's up there, Melissa from Cape Coral? Merritt Island, that's close to Shelley. You might have drove by her one day and I didn't even known it. I'll tell you where she lives. You can throw eggs at her house. Nah, not eggs. They're too much. Can't toilet paper houses anymore either, because toilet paper is worth a lot of money too. So we're streaming live. It's our daily brew. We talk weather. Remember, I'm not a meteorologist. I'm just a hobby guy and just some dude with a website. And love to talk weather with everybody. We talk about trends. We talk about possibilities. We're kind of like one big wild crazy weather family. For many years I've been doing this since Facebook started allowing us to stream live back in 2016. So we've been live every week since 2016. Now we're streaming live on X and YouTube also. So and TikTokers, I'll do a video here after this one. Julie and I went to Chili's last night, and I was able to have just one more because I had my driver. So I was up a little later than normal, 7 instead of 6. So anyway, all right, so we're going to talk about weather. Lee is, obviously weak in some. That's a great headline people love to see. It was a, monster Category 5. It is coming back, though. It is expected to increase intensity. It is going to curve. It's not hitting Florida. Number one question of this storm, is it coming to Florida? No, it's not. You're going to see waves. Heck yeah, man. Middle part of the week, you're going to see some big waves. Maybe I'll go over there and cover the waves. Big waves coming in. Oh, you shut your good boy. Hey, let me tell you a story about Hunter real quick, and then we're going to talk weather. Valerie Bauer, good morning. Always nice to see you. So Emily taught Hunter. Emily taught Hunter to sit last night. He was so proud of himself. Right, buddy? You sat like a good boy. So it was so cute to see him sit finally. And so him and Louie can now sit. That was our excitement for yesterday. Hunter sat for the first time. All right. So Lee. All right. So here is the Tropics map for today. We're going to get into some other stuff later. Jonathan from Puerto Rico. Good thing to sing above you, right, buddy? Puerto Rico hasn't really had much tropic action in a while. That's good news. I seem like you guys had a string there of bad weather. Morning from Myrtle Beach. Do you follow Ed Petrowski? I love Ed. Me and him joke back and forth all the time. He wants to go on the Hurricane Hunters, so I told him I'll bring the beer. Beaufort, yes, we know where that's at. I guess this chalkboard lady's gone, but that was some fun memories for me to have our name on the chalkboard. Maybe it's back. I don't know. I don't know. Live there. I don't know. Chris, Brantford. Oh, I know where Brantford's at. Hopefully things are back. Good morning, Kiki. Good morning. Brevard County. I was at Boca Raton yesterday. Rob and Kelly from Jax, Charleston. Man, we got people popping in from all over the place. Rhode Island. Well, you're definitely watching this one. Yeah, Sarah, I did hear that. Bay Harbor, Maine, Allison. Yep, we'll get into it. So, weather in a nutshell. The Euro, I'm going to show you all this, but if you don't have the patience, I don't have the patience. 30-second weather update. Lee's going to turn. Most models west of Bermuda. Most models keeping it just off the northeast coast, heading towards Nova Scotia. The yesterday's run of the Euro bounced back east again. Not 100% certain ever. A lot of things, 7 days from now is a long time, but it's good to see model consistency, and that's what we've always went by, and it's hard to go against the models when they're very consistent. So confidence is pretty high. The only player in all this is Margot, and that high pressure that might develop between the two of them, and if that has any effects on this going more north, putting the northeast more in play later into the weekend. So there you go. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Now what am I going to talk about? Now I got nothing to talk about. I don't even know. All right. So this little guy, we'll talk about him in a little bit. This is Invest 97. This one right here. I actually updated the site last night. Invest 97. It might get merged. I don't know what it's going to do. I don't think it's going to do anything. I don't see it. This one is interesting. So later next week, middle of next week, is going to be somewhere down here. Or later next week. This week is next week. This is Sunday. So when I say later this week, like Friday, it's going to be somewhere in the middle Atlantic. And we'll get into all that in a little bit. Let's talk about Lee first. All right, so there's the latest track on Lee. That's your 5 a.m. update. We'll have a new one in an hour. There's that turn everybody was waiting patiently on. It's happening midweek this week. Midweek this week. Expect to be a major hurricane again. Holy moly, Melissa Sky throwing in some stars. We just got a big old notification. Hurricanes do not stop after September. Is that a serious question, Stephanie? Because I'll answer it. Or no, it's not Stephanie. Sorry, it's right above you. Chris. No, they do not. As a matter of fact, some of the most memorable hurricanes, as far as intensity goes, has been later September, October. So, Lance from Lynn Haven, we know where that's at. That's real close to Panama City. Panama City. Homosassa Kathy, you got some flooding up there, didn't you? Nicole was November, correct. Jessica. 4 feet, Michelle says. Yeah. Hey, Chad, what's up, buddy? Where you at? Chad, my mom just sent me a text this morning and said that last batch of coffee was phenomenal. She loves y'all's coffee. Making mama happy. All right, well, here's let's go right into it. Big waves for the East Coast. Probably might not even reach, well, the Northeast, New England area might get some outer bands if this thing tracks off to the east a little bit. But, we'll get to that. All right. So there's that turn. We got a cold front coming down middle next week. The cold front's basically is a jet stream. The jet stream is steering currents, and then the steering currents are going to pull, because we're going to have winds basically coming down with that jet stream, and those winds accelerate our system northward. That's why we're starting to see a big gap here, and it's probably going to take off pretty fast once it gets going. It's got weak steering currents right now. That's why it's going to hang around for a few days before that turn. So there'll be a little bit to watch. The turn has always been mentioned by the NHC. When does it turn? So definitely watching Bermuda. Still watching East Coast. If it turns later, it could impact the East Coast more. If it turns earlier, it could affect Bermuda more, and then maybe miss everybody past that. But right now, the general trend is right there. Latest spaghetti models on Tropical Tidbits. These get updated around 9 a.m., 3 p.m., 9 p.m., 3 a.m. And these are fresh. Majority of them are either slower, a little more north, faster, a little bit more northeast. So there's Bermuda. High confidence this thing stays off to the west. That's been the trend. Trends are your friend. A few outer bands maybe later in the week. We'll get into that a little more. But notice I didn't say next week. Later in the week. And I don't know what it is. When I do a post and have a graphic of something, it could be a rain shower in Maine. And I'll be like, current radar here. Or no, it's coming, whatever. So whenever I say here, people must know where I live, West Central Florida, because then they're always like, what do you mean here? It's coming here? I'm like, no, it's going there, here. So here doesn't mean Oldsmar. Unless I say I'm having a good time here. And then it would mean Oldsmar. But anyway, trends are your friend, and there you go. Let's look at spaghetti models for the ensembles. So these are your latest on weathernerds.org. We primarily use tropicaltidbits.com and weathernerds.org. They both have great products. There's a bazillion websites with great products, but we always use those two. I got one guy, the haters always say stuff like, "Oh, all he uses this and this." I'm like, well, obviously because we like the guys, and I like them. They're good people. Here's your blend of GFS ensembles. Remember, if you're new, the ensembles are, I think there's 31 members of the GFS. These are all GFS models, and they kind of agree, which is great. You do have the outliers. The outliers that are going towards New England are likely due to a slower moving system where the high pressure builds back in and pushes our system more north, and that's still a possibility. Not a probability, possibility. We have to go with the majority at this time. 7 days is still a long way away. The emotional, the emotional part of tracking long range storms is exhausting. I already see people say it. I'm so tired of this. I'm so tired of tracking. I get it. We haven't had a long track hurricane in a long time that might affect people, and it just gets old. I mean, storms that pop up 3 days and are hitting landfall is 3 days. We got 7 more days of this, so maybe not 7. Once we get closer, confidence increases more, but I get it, and a lot of people like to, think that because it's not hitting where you live, what's the point of talking about it? And we have a ton of followers in Bermuda. We have a ton of people in the Northeast, ton of people in Nova Scotia that watch. So just because it's not going to hit you doesn't mean somebody else is watching. So, but GFS, we don't, isn't a very trustworthy model, but it's good to see that it's in line with everybody else. The latest European ensembles. Now, yesterday, the European ensembles had that 112Z run that actually, went that way. But the majority of ensembles went that way. And I hope, if we learned anything, ensembles are everything. When you get that lone outlier, lone ranger, I call it, it's suspicious. And the Euro 12Z came west. Now the overnight one came back east. So that's called flip-flopping, right? You hear people talk about the flip-flopping models all the time. And yesterday's 12Z flipped west. Overnight 00Z flopped east. But we still have outliers. So until we don't see any outliers, we don't say anything's a guarantee. But definitely Nova Scotia's on highest alert of anybody. Supermodel blend. I love this one. This was awesome. Let's turn them all off for now. This is on a website created by a gentleman named Tomer Berg. And it uses a blend of ensembles from everybody. So let's start out with the Euros, which we just saw. But let's do the UKs. We haven't looked at the UK. So UK, unfortunately for Bermuda, is trending a little bit more east. So Euro and GFS are not that close. But the UK, I wanted to start out with the UK just to show, hey, keeping an eye on this thing for Bermuda 100%. UK did really good tracking Idalia, and so far it's been doing pretty good tracking Lee. So we got to keep that in mind of a turn. And then the Canadian, we haven't shown the Canadian ensembles. I'll show you that one. I'm zooming around Earth here. I feel like a fighter pilot, and I was like, zoom, zoom, chasing UFOs. Here are the latest. Let's make these red and make them heavy, and then we'll do the mean red, make it heavy, and we'll go back to blue here and make it heavy. Alright, so here is your CMC models trending a little bit west, and the CMC didn't do very bad with the track of Idalia either. So bottom line on this is, trends are your friends, and yesterday's Euro was definitely an outlier, but we can't stop watching. That high pressure system to the north is everything, and it reacts to Margot is going to be everything. So, there are still quite a few spaghetti models here close on the New England area. So I would not say it's a done deal yet. But confidence is high. Jeffrey, you got more coffee from our buddy Jeffrey. Or Shelly, Jeffrey. I didn't know any better. I think nothing. Tom Brady. Why are they talking about Tom Brady? One thing I hate about hurricane season, I hate it. I love my buddy Jim Cantori. I mean, that guy is an animal. That guy posts 24/7, 7 days a week. He's awesome. So, fall leaves in football overtake tropics once this time of year comes around, man. Like yesterday, I was on X looking for, I follow a lot of meteorologists and follow a lot of weather people, and I was bored because we're driving 4 hours to Boca to watch it rain, and there wasn't a lot of weather chat. I'm like, it's all football chat. I'm like, I want to talk weather. Nobody's talking weather. So I always worry about late September and October, and mark my word, 9:40 on 9:10 hurricane hangover. Okay, we get a bad one, nobody's going to want to talk about it because I believed that people get tired of talking about tropics later in the year, and those are the ones that sneak up on you, later season storms. Always happens. People don't want to do it anymore. They're tired of hurricane season. People like me hype 24/7. And then when the big one comes, it's like nobody wants to talk about it. So that's kind of happened a lot in the last few years. Late season storms sneak up on us. And that's usually when the biggest ones happen because the water's the hottest. And we have a lot more steering currents allowing things to get pulled up towards land. Texas is looking pretty good, though. They haven't had anything in a while. Nothing's really brewing that way. All right, so let's take a look at some current data. Let's go take a look at Tropical Tidbits to see the hurricane hunters. They're out there right now. They're in the storm. See? Ooh, pressure went down. Quite a bit, actually. 951, 957. Strengthening a little bit. See those wind barbs starting to show light pink? Definitely intensifying. You're starting to get some hot towers. So, storm is intensifying as expected. Let's talk about key messages for the United States. Remains too soon to know what level of impacts, if any, might have along the U.S. East Coast, Atlantic Canada, or Bermuda. Painful. Waiting. All right, there's that. Let's take a look at this wave map. Waves are going to be a big deal. For sure. And then we'll look at the models. So let's look at waves, and then we're going to look at all the models. We'll start looking at the Atlantic for next week. Next year. This week. Not next week. This week. Man, I'm all messed up. Shelly, we don't do Sundays. That's why I'm all messed up. I keep saying next week because my brain still thinks it's the weekend. Because it is the weekend. All right, we're going to look at wave maps. So waves are going to be a big deal regardless. We got a new moon on the 15th. So the 15th, we got a new moon. We'll have bigger tides the 15th. So whatever happens with these waves will increase because of that. Why? These storms always happen during full moon, new moon. New moon, no moon. No moon. No moon. Oh, Laura, I like that. New moon means no moon. Mega moon. I don't know, Michelle. Mega moon is. Somebody told me. Hey, Katie Haley, how's it going up there? When will it pass New York City, Sarah? It'll be moving on by Friday, probably, or maybe Saturday, later in the week. Jacob says, got a feeling in the Yucatan for October. Well, we saw how Idalia popped up through the Central America. Got pulled up kind of out of nowhere. Julia wants to know about hurricane hunters. That's awesome. I tell you what, search them on Facebook and X and Instagram. They have awesome social media channels. You know, they sent me a patch years ago. They followed me. So they sent this to me a couple years ago. A gentleman named Sean. So it's always a pleasure to meet him. I got to go to Texas this year, and I met one of the meteorologist girls. I was very intimidated. She was intimidated because she was a fan, and I'm like, "What are you talking about? You're you're the real deal. I'm just sharing your information." But it was so cool. Apparently, there was a lady there. Funny story from Furman. Furman was there with me, and there was somebody there, and we were at Houston at the Hurricane Hunter Awareness Tour, and somebody there was kind of dissing me, which people love to do. I don't know why. And one of the meteorologists from the Hurricane Hunters stood up and said, "Oh, we love Mike. We all follow him." Or not we all, but some do, and made me feel good because they're cool. I was standing in line one time. Remember this, Julie? I was standing in line. I think it was Sarasota. We were at a Publix, and there was a hurricane hunter behind me, and he was buying some beer. I'm like, "Yeah," and he's like, "Hey, Mike," and I'm like, "What's up?" They're cool people, man. They're awesome. I don't know. These videos that I saw flying into Lee were pretty. You know, there was 2 missions on this trip that they did not fly into the eye because it was so strong. They actually did not penetrate the eye because of so much what do they call them? Mesoscale vorticities or something. Little mini tornadoes, basically. And the lightning videos that they shared were unbelievable. And those airplanes, I mean, they're not new. I mean, they do great. I met the mechanic here in Tampa, man. He told me they work obviously very hard on those planes. But think about how much trust you got to have in those planes. I mean, all right, so here's the wave map. So the yellow is about 10 foot, orange is about 15, red's about 20. So these are going to start reaching the East Coast here on Wednesday. Starting to get the big stuff. This is Wednesday. The center of the storm is at 85 feet. This is the European wave map. That's unbelievable. Hopefully there's no ships. I hope they're watching, because every year it seems like we get one of these storms in the Atlantic, and there's some, I call them cowboy captains or captain cowboys, that they steer right into these things, and it ends up being the most viral videos on the planet because, you know, what fun is it to be in one of these things, right? And they always seem like they do. Let's hope not. My buddy James Van Fleet worked with Royal, and they did the best job keeping people out of harm's way with these big storms. How about the Rays yesterday? Man, Yandy Diaz, man, that was incredible. DGB, hey, thank you, buddy, over on YouTube. Appreciate that. What's up, Black Label Express? Happy Sunday, fun day. I love it. We're going softball. We're going to Eddie Seymour. Emily gets to play. Oh, boy. Let's see. Vince got a cruise. 913, 920. Ooh, are you kidding me? Wait a minute. This is going to be interesting for you. I hope they do something different. All right, so big waves Wednesday. Look at these now. Obviously, this is the most waves later in the week. 10, 15, 20-foot seas off of the southeast coast, and then they really get going North Carolina northward. All depend on that future track, obviously. But, you know, this is not 85-foot waves here peaking on the... so, you're going to get a lot in Bermuda. I think waves obviously will be the biggest issue there if this thing stays west. Most of the rains are consolidated on the west side, which is odd. No squeaky toys. Did I wake up any dogs yesterday? So these are the C's for the week. The system is going to expand. That's the number one thing that hasn't changed. We got a frontal line coming down. These usually help systems widen. And this is, I'm pointing over here like you are, but this is Margot. We're not going to have two storms combined into one. That was the number one TikTok video last week, was how we're going to have a 3-storm mega hurricane. There you go. All right, so depending on how close this is to the coast, it's going to be a lot of waves. Bottom line, it's not has changed. 80 foot, 90 foot seas, depending on the strength. All right, let's look at individual models. Let's look at, before I don't forget, let's look at the KMA. KMA has been trending east more than others. KMA didn't do bad at all with Idalia. So let's take a look here. Hopefully it's more in line with everybody else now. No, it's not. Damn it. Well, it's good for East Coast. Well, what the hell's it doing there? Well, let's hope the KMA is not a good model, because it hits Bermuda, then it decides to hit Northeast. I haven't shared this model yet because I haven't learned enough about it yet. But I don't like it yet because a couple days ago it was showing North Carolina. Oh, damn, what the hell was that? Our security camera scared the heck out of me. Who the hell's out there on a Sunday morning? Oh, it's a car going by. Why do they drive so close? Hey, man, we should have... I wish I could play music on Facebook, but we get in trouble. Sunday morning coming down. Johnny Cash. Well, anyway, I'm not going to... Let's not worry about the KMA model right now, because it's been all over the place. And one time it was hitting North Carolina. Now it's, swinging back towards Bermuda and then doing some wiggle up there to the East Coast. So... But... I could tell you this much, though. Definitely. The question mark is, the later that our system decides to go north, it's going to allow more time for this high pressure to develop. And that's been the number one talking point. Yesterday's Euro ran out of the high and shoved it more into the northeast, as the KMA is doing. So that's going to be the big question mark. And a lot of it's because of Margot. All right, so we're not going to show the KMA. Hopefully it's wrong, because that's going to go against everybody else's models. But let's stick to the ones we do know. All right, so let's go to Tropical Tidbits and take a look. So we're going to be looking at a couple things. We got that new... All right, so let's go back to this right here. So we have this new system coming down. So we're going to look... This guy right here is at 30%. It's going to end up in the Middle Atlantic the end of this week. So we're going to see that popping into the picture. So we have Margot, we have Lee, and remember the year we had Marco Polo? Yeah, I tell you, another reason I love TikTok is they don't care, and it's fun to play music over there. I would love to go on a hurricane flight, Ian. Yes, they're trying to get me, believe it or not. They're trying. I got a couple of people out there who are working hard on it. Marco, oh, I thought it was Marco Polo. Marco Laura, okay. Fudge Crackers? What was that? Was that Oliver song talking about some fudge something? Nigel, maybe that was it. Nigel's next. Yes, correct. And I hope I'm saying it right. Nigel. Sean, yep, it's originally by Chris Christopherson. Correct. I do like the... I think I saw Kid Rock singing it once, too. It was pretty good. Marco Polo was the silliest game as a kid. I mean, who didn't cheat during Marco Polo? I mean, It's so stupid. Like, okay, I'm looking. Kids, like, I think that's where I first learned to cheat. I never cheated in school. Who didn't? It's all about getting through. How are you going to get by? Hi. I took 3 years of Spanish, and I barely can count to 10. All right. So let's take a look at the latest euro. All right, so here we go. Euro's backed off a little bit on intensity. Remember, that was the big thing we watched last night. It's still showing 949 pressure. Lower the pressure. That's the only critique that made me really aware was I asked people to critique my CNN article or video, and I talked about millibars, and I need to talk more about that. You know, lower millibars is basically stronger system. Anyway, 947. All right, so the euro keeps it just west of Bermuda. Here's that new little area of low pressure starting next Friday, not next week Friday, next Friday. And this has been all over. I mean, I posted like 3-4 days ago. This has been very, very, very consistent with our wave coming off of Africa. This isn't the one out there. This is not 97. I don't even know what 97 is going to do. I can't figure that one out. I just don't even know. It's not doing anything. It might wait around for the African system. They might have a party together and merge. But the one we're watching next week, I hate Sundays. The one we're watching this week is not 97. 97 is weird. This one's just coming off Africa now. Anyway, so latest euro. Let's talk about Lee. Big changes in Lee. Like we said, now it's going right smack dab towards Nova Scotia. Yesterday's 12Z. Just to keep it real. This is what was a huge shift. Was basically going into the U.S. When it went into the U.S. yesterday, a couple things were different. One was we had a really strong high pressure system here blocking it, and most of the ensembles were showing Nova Scotia. So when an operational run doesn't agree with the majority mean of its ensembles, you know something's wrong. That's why ensembles are awesome. My buddy here locally, Bay News 9, Mike Clay, woke me up a couple years ago. He's like, Mike, you got to quit sharing operational runs. It's all about the ensembles. And I'm like, oh. Just like years ago, I had some gentlemen that worked at NASA sent me some Jetstream links to add to the site. And they're like, listen, Mike, we love your site. Please add these Jetstream forecasts, which I do still today. Jetstream, everything's Jetstream. Where is it? Right here. Jetstream pattern, Jetstream forecast, Jetstream animation. Jetstream controls everything. And it does. All weather is controlled by the Jetstream. And I was like, I didn't know what the heck he was talking about back then. I'm like, okay. Now I know exactly what he's talking about. So anyway, that was yesterday's run. So the good news, at least for trending purposes, not for Nova Scotia, is the euro's back a little bit more east. And it's sped up a little bit too. So that's the difference. This is now Sunday morning, where yesterday was more later Sunday, meaning it would have more time to react to maybe a building high pressure system. So, there you go. Look at the size difference, though. Look at where we're at now. Look how tiny it looks. And the overall size of the system really starts to expand as it goes northward. So what's deceiving to me is the pressure. So, and here's our other system. So let's talk about that real quick, and I'll zoom into it. So here's Friday, and there you go. 10 days a long way away, but 997, potentially hurricane, getting close to Bermuda, kind of going west-northwest, more northwest. So this is the system that's yellow coming off Africa right now. Next week could be something to watch. A lot of the trends have kind of kept. This is yesterday's 12Z run too, so this is what we're watching. Too far away to know anything, but definitely one to keep our eye on, because we're starting to see high pressure build back in, and it all comes down to that. So 10 days away, long time, but that's what we're watching next week. I can say that because it will be next week. The time is right here. This is it. So let me zoom in a lot closer on the northeast here, East Coast U.S. Try to get more into landfalls. So one thing about this storm that we've seen a lot, it's all western biased on the rains. Could be due to high pressure on the east side. And, forcing. Same thing we saw with Idalia. Idalia and Franklin, it was more concentrated on the west side because that high pressure system likely had a lot to do with that. Same thing we're seeing here with Lee and Margot. So anyway, there's how big the system's going to be as it approaches. So 962 millibar. That's the question. Pressures that low usually are strong winds. I mean, you got some tight pressure gradients, so that's equivalent to Cat 3 sometimes. So at least a 2. So I'm cautious on the perception it's going to be weaker the time it gets up there, because 962, Sandy was a 1, Cat 1. So it still could be a powerful storm is what I'm getting at. So David, just saw your thing popped up. Ho, Chris Wells. How you doing, buddy? French toast, Shelly. I haven't had French toast in years. My mom used to make apple butter toast, man, and I can still taste it today. I bet you I haven't had it in 20 years. But I don't know if Julie's listening, but she made toast for Emily the other day, and she asked her if she wanted jelly on it, and it brought back memories. I bet you somebody just had that flashback like I did. When's the last time you had toast with jelly? For me, I swear it's probably been 20 years. I can't remember the last time I had toast with jelly. I do love some grits, though. I love dumping half a bottle of pepper in my grits. I don't know why. Thanks, Ellen. Appreciate it. Rachel likes apple butter toast, too. Apple butter. We all grew up on butter. Butter. Remember what was the butter that you used to cut the knees out, and you know what I'm talking about? As a kid, you used to make dirty pictures with one of the butter labels. Kids. How many of y'all knew what you wanted to do when you went to school? That's a big question. Kids nowadays, everybody expects their kids to know what they want to do. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I still don't know what I want to do. So I tell them, I don't even stress about it, because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And everybody I knew that thought that they wanted to know what they do changed their major in school. So I don't know about where you all are at, but everybody around me, the kids think they exactly know what they want to do. And I don't think they do. Nobody knows what they want to do. So I don't know where that came from, but that's the way I roll. All right. So anyway, heavy rains, just clipping the East Coast on these runs. What we saw with, tiny little shifts are going to mean everything in that high pressure system. If that Margot wasn't out there, it would almost be a guarantee this thing's going to curve off, maybe missing everybody. But I'm telling you, that high pressure with Margot is going to be tricky on when this thing turns. And I'll be really curious on the 12Z run, to tell you the truth, because, we see windshield wiper effects. If it goes back between the two runs, then we got it getting closer to New England again. So, but that's only one run. All right, so latest GFS west of Bermuda. This would be Friday. 960 pressure. Look at the heavy concentration on the west side. 964 pressure. And, it's going to be, a lot of winds, man. Any 960 pressure over the water is a lot of wind. I'm telling you. I see a lot of comments, well, it's going to be weakened by then. Well, no, I've never seen 960 pressure not be something to worry about. Here's the latest Canadian model. So we got, really high confidence. All three models pointing, unfortunately, to Nova Scotia. But little wiggles, little wobbles. 7 days out, man. That high pressure is still a huge unknown. on when this thing, if it slows, if this thing is a little slower, high pressure is going to build in, and we're going to have more of a risk that this thing goes. So if you're worried about the Northeast, you want this thing to accelerate fast with that front. The faster it turns, the more likely it's not going to affect maybe anybody. The slower it turns, it might allow that high pressure to build in a little more and cause a little more trouble. But that is high confidence. This thing is going to be westernly biased with a lot of rains, a lot of storms, a lot of wind, a lot of waves. It could be, it's going to be pretty nasty up that neck of the woods for sure. Some of the intensity forecast models on Haas. Did I do it right? Haas. Still doesn't sound right. Haas. All right, so Haas model still is it initialized pretty low, 947. It's off a little bit. 951 the Hurricane Hunters found, but it still brings it down to 930, 920 range. That's pretty darn. Now it does keep it west of Bermuda, and it only goes out 126 hours. Why is that? I thought it went out more than that. I guess not. So there it would be Friday morning, bringing in some waves. There's going to be some winds, guaranteed, Bermuda, but it's not a direct hit. That's a good thing. And you can see it starting to expand too. Current size, look at this. Look at the difference. Look at right now. That's your wind field. 10 meter winds. This is ground level, not 850. These are 850 winds, but look at the size. Look at that thing expanding. Look at that. Look at that. Would you just look at that? That's why we're going to have big waves on that East Coast regardless. That's going to be a monster out there, size-wise. Bigger the storm, bigger the waves. All right, the H-Wharf. I don't even know how I come up with H-Wharf. Does anybody else call it the H-Wharf? H-Wharf. That sounds weird. It's predicting about 940 before the turn, but look at the size of the H-Wharf. Same thing. So that's a pretty good given. That thing's going to really get wider and bigger. Oh, there's a lot of purple. The H8, Hoff's B showing it down to 940, 930 range, and then it expands it. So it'll be fascinating to see that expansion over the Atlantic. So as far as our friends in Bermuda go, which I know we have some paid supporters over there, which I really appreciate it. That's how we roll here, man. How do you think I pay for all that beer? Hey, my drone shows up tomorrow. I got a FedEx tracking number, Shelly. I'm so excited. I bought a really high dollar one. Supposed to be wind. Any of y'all drone experts out there? I don't want to open up my email now. But, hey, Chris, yeah, I love your comment. Chris Wells. So, this was supposed to have a wind. Sound like Elmer Fudd. I just said wind waiting. Who misses Elmer Fudd in the morning? My Saturdays were, my mom would go get a chocolate eclair, which is that long, skinny donut with chocolate and like a cream filling. I love Mama for that. And Julie's going to go do the same for our kids right now. Maybe bring Dad home a bacon, egg, and cheese wrap from Dunkin'. And watching Looney Tunes. Looney Tunes in the morning were awesome. Like, oh, God, I used to love that. Wasn't a big Three Stooges fan or a Little Rascals fan, but I love Looney Tunes. All right. Well, here we go. So we're going to look at our friends in Bermuda. One day we'll make it over there. All right, so there you go. Still Friday, still passing storms. You're gonna see some squall lines, no doubt. The winds are going to probably be the bigger issue with, obviously boaters. I mean, on the south side of the island for sure as this thing approaches. So that'll be, what we're watching. Here's gusts. Let's do the gust maps. Euro's always a little aggressive on the gusts, but it gives you an idea. It could be 60 mile an hour wind gusts. Sustained winds could be still tropical storm force. So, because of that expanding system, probably going to be tropical storm watches, at least, likely warnings, tropical storm. But you guys are awesome, I heard, over there with how y'all construction and stuff. So I don't even know if a tropical storm is that big a deal or not. I don't think it is. But anyway, there's the Euro. GFS is a little bit closer. Not much. Again, these are sustained winds, so you're going to be up there. You know, it'll be, at least it's not a direct hit. I mean, if it gets a little closer, then we got to worry about it. But so far, spaghetti models are in your favor, but it's still close enough to watch super duper close. Time would be Thursday. Things start going downhill with Friday. The bigger impacts. You know, what we're seeing with the moisture side of things, like I said, the heavier rains and stuff are on starting to develop more on the west side. And likely due to that high pressure system to the east. Show. Big storms, nothing today. Nothing there. Just kind of showing things off here. You know, the water is going to be a little cooler to the north. Not a lot cooler. Let's see what the latest recon found. 958. So it's not really getting any deeper. 958 is still very strong. These are current hurricane data on Tropical Tidbits. I got a link you can follow along. Margot expected to be a hurricane. Supposed to be a hurricane going due north. High pressure is going to be building between these two. It's going to be really fascinating to watch what happens there. Invest 97 spaghetti models. If it does anything, I don't know what it's. I don't know. It might be merging with that system off of Africa. This, you know, I really don't understand. I don't really know what Invest 97 is, to tell you the truth. We saw it last week come off Africa. It's. I don't know where it's at. I mean, I do know where it's at. It's right here. I mean, if you look at those coordinates again. Here, it's supposed to be somewhere south west of the Cape Verde Islands right now currently, but I mean, we did see it come off of Africa. We saw a spin a couple days ago, but the one, oh, there it is. Okay, you can see it, that little blob right here. That's weird that they would invest that little thing, I tell you the truth. But anyway, that's it. There's Invest 97. This is the one. What the heck's going on? My pointer got all messed up. This is the one. Let's start over again. Anyway. This is the one coming off Africa. This is 97. Probably going to merge. Look at this thing here. Somebody else is asking about that. Let's go check that out. I feel like we're in an airplane. Oh, let's fly over here and look at this little guy. Somebody did ask that earlier. But anyway, this area coming off Africa, I think, is probably going to merge with this, and this will end up being what we're watching Friday, somewhere around here. Because we're not seeing any sign of it right here. Not saying this is the ultimate. This is not the ultimate tropical tool, but it's somewhere at 97. But this is the area coming off of Africa that's definitely got spinach, and you can see that the NHC marking that right now. This little guy right here. So this guy here is this guy here, and this could be interesting to watch. GFS one time had it go to the Gulf. GFS had it one time go straight due north in the Atlantic, so too early to know. But the Caribbean spot is probably just random convection. It appears that way. Let's put on a different map here. I'm going to see. Yeah, it's south of Jamaica. A little bit of interesting. But look at these winds right here are so strong. These lower level winds. So probably not, even if it did anything, it's going to go into Central America. Yeah, it's nothing. don't see it doing anything. Here's that frontal line now that's in the picture, not having any influence on Lee right now. The one that we're going to be watching, though, next week is interesting. First sign. Well, let's look at some cold fronts here in a minute. All right, so this is the steering mechanism coming down to play. Here is our frontal. This is frontal line that we got now, and a big one coming in behind it. This one's going to push this one out of the way and become dominant. It's kind of a bully, but there it is. Wednesday, big old strong cold front. This is what's going to start picking our system up. The jet stream is going to be dipping south. Upper level winds are going to start pulling up our system. Here's that front. This is on Thursday. Strong front. And it continues to be strong. And there's our system showing up on the surface charts. And there's our system very, 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 very close to the East Coast. So there you go. That's next Saturday. Sunday. I do want to look at temperatures now. Let's go to Tropical Tidbits and take a look at the U.S. Let's just look at the Southeast. Let's look at temperatures and see what we got coming later in the week. Oof. Ooh. That's a real cold front. 65 degrees around Tallahassee. We might hit low 60s in parts of the Panhandle. This is next weekend. Fire pit time. I had to throw my fire pit away. I went to move it the other day. I tell you this story, and the whole bottom fell out. Oh, God. We threw away our grill in the back porch. Even with the cover, our grill rusted out. You should have seen me trying to take it out front. I tipped the garbage man $40. He took it. Somebody took all the steel overnight, though. They dismantled my they dismantled the grill in the driveway and took all the steel. I'm like, just take the damn thing. But anyway, so we got at least we're cleaning up Julie's mom's house, and she had a brand new grill. So we're gonna put the old grill to good use. Hopefully it doesn't rust out. I got to get a new fire pit. I might get a chimney. I miss my chimney. I went with a traditional bowl last year, but I think the chimney is a lot more fun. I love the whoosh sound of a chimney. How the wind's like, it's weather. The chimney is a hurricane, rising air. All right, but anyway, cold weather. Look at this. This is amazing. We'll see if it verifies. But 64 degrees, 65 in Panama City, 65 in New Orleans. Notice I got the accent down. New Orleans. Low 60s down Mississippi into Mobile. Euro's usually a little more aggressive. Let's see what it's showing. Next Sunday morning. About the same. 60s making it down into the Panhandle. Not as aggressive as I thought. Canadian sometimes a little more aggressive too, but it's not. But then look at this. We got 50s. Look at all these 50s. Next week, and that is this the first real cold front of the year? That would be next. This is the most aggressive temperature map, so I'm just trying to get everybody excited. I want everybody to get wood, so. Look at that cold air. 40s in the mountains. Wow. This is next weekend. That's a real cold front. That'll make it worthwhile when you're walking in Lowe's and see fall stuff, right? I bought that clown. It should be coming. I told everybody I got the clown. I'm drinking last night's Red Bull. I never finished it. Carol said you got rid of the hot tub and the bottom fell out. I got an inflatable hot tub. Best $500 you could ever spend. It looks like wood. It does everything the same. It's awesome. It looks cool. Keep the cover on it. Let me tell you a little secret. First one we didn't keep the cover on it, and I was cleaning it all the time. And there's a battery-operated vacuum that the best thing I ever bought because stuff settles on the bottom. This thing's awesome. It runs on 3D batteries. Hey, Anthony, great question. Somebody else asked me to talk about that. So the storms that come off of Africa, so a lot of it's due to the equator. Let me show you the winds here. So the way that the equator works, we have winds, basically natural easterlies, they call them, that blow across the equator. So storms originate in Africa. Let's go to cyclone weather because I do want to see what it looks like. So basically, it's just thunderstorms in Africa that naturally, with the rotation of the Earth, they actually come from the Indian Ocean all the way across. Shelly kind of embarrassed me one time because she said she watches past Africa, and I was like, "Well, you trying to be smarter?" But it is fascinating to watch. So this cyclonic weather site, cyclonicwx.com, has Africa maps, and you can put them in motion, and you can see the storms in Africa. So these are just natural storms that are along the equator line, basically, that get going across Africa. And there they are. Sometimes you hear the phrase African wave trains, right? We'll see them lined up, and these plop out onto the Atlantic. They're usually mid-level storm systems, so they generally, don't take them serious until they survive a day or two over the waters and try to develop a true low-pressure center. But that's where they start, and the winds basically blow it. That's the same winds blow African dust, gets lifted up by these storms, basically, carries it across the Atlantic, and that's early season tropics stuff. The same winds and storms lift up the African Sahara dust, lifts it up to the middle parts of the atmosphere, and travels across the Atlantic. And obviously, the more rains we have, lessens the effect of the dust. And this year, we saw it. It's like clockwork. June, July, into August, there's a lot of dust. Now there's not. And if you look at the current dust map for Lee, you can see that there's very little dry air out there showing up. God, I hate it when we have all these storms because it's so... I don't even know where half my links are. I think it's on this side. I swear things have changed. I know they've changed. All right, well, anyway, here, let's show you this real quick. So, in the life cycle of Lee is right here. Normally, this map is full of yellow. Now I sound southern. Yellow, reds, and oranges. There's not a lot of dust out there, and this is generally what tropics love, is a moist atmosphere. We haven't said moist a lot this year. And that's a prime example of favorable conditions as far as middle atmosphere goes. Hurricanes need a moist middle atmosphere. 300, 700 is a great tool that Levi has on his site. It shows you humidity levels in the middle atmosphere. So the more moisture in the air, the more fuel the systems can pull from. But there you go. There's a pocket of extremely non-dry air. Same for Margot, and same for our system coming off now. So when you look ahead, this path, this is our system that just came off Africa. It's going to be dealing with very little dry air, which is basically what it needs, honestly, at this time of year. So that'll be one to watch. MJO is kind of in a suppressed stage, which is good. It means tropical. Nobody's talked about MJO. I haven't heard MJO once this year. I don't understand why. Some year it's all you talk about. This year is not even hearing about it. So when it's in the yellow and orange range, usually it means you have sinking dry air, which means less favorable conditions for storms to develop. So we are entering that, at least going into the next 2 weeks. I have that map there. We got a 2-week page here from Michael Ventrance website, and it shows that dry air, sinking dry air today. It doesn't really show it that much, actually. Oh, that's because it was updated 8.5. What's up with that? I was wondering. I'm sitting here now. I'm sounding more dumber than usual. This hasn't been updated. This was updated 8.5, so this is not correct. That's why there shouldn't be any dry air out there. Let's see if... This hasn't been updated either. 8.8. What's going on? Well, make sure the other one's even right. Maybe I'm looking at wrong old data here. No, this is right. September 9th. This was correct. September 9th. Look at this one. That's weird. Oh, it's on the same website. That's why. So those aren't accurate. He hasn't updated. I don't know why they're not updated. So anyway, this one's accurate. This one that I have linked is accurate. Meaning a less favorable environment in the next 2 weeks. However, upper level velocity potential is actually reflecting the same thing. So that's good news. This is a very good signature that going into next week, there won't be a lot of favorable conditions, at least in the middle Atlantic. I've seen the MJO doesn't mean much peak season as much as it does early season, end season. But look at these hot towers popping up here on our little system. Let's look at Weather Nerds here and take a look. So it's definitely trying to redevelop that eye. There is some dry air. You can see this dry air getting wrapped around it. Follow it. You can follow the circle. Look, follow it. This is dry air. Helps keep hurricanes from organizing a little bit. It's been trying to develop that new eye wall. It's starting to. Hurricane hunters are keeping steady. Pressure is about 950. You know, you can see it trying to clear out something right here. See it right at the last frame. So it's trying. It's expected to. Water vapor, kind of going to show that little bit of dry air here. The blues and greens and the whites there kind of getting sucked up around. So not the most signature 100-mile-an-hour system we have, but still expect to be a major. And that's what we got. So I have not come up for air. I should breathe. Mike Soul, great question. I think this was the first year they flew out there. They normally never flew out that far out, but I think they had a plane in the islands, but don't quote me on that. They usually don't go that far out. Joe Sardo, great question. El Nino so far, I mean, Idalia popped up. Usually Western Caribbean isn't, the spot to watch when we have El Nino years. Here's the season in a nutshell so far. We've showed this graph a bazillion times over the preseason. Preseason, I feel like football. Usually that part of the area is slow because of El Nino winds. So if history repeats itself, this is the areas that get going more. And somebody brought up a good point, including me. We didn't talk a lot about Franklin. I think it's because Idalia was in the news. And it was also really expected to curve away from New England and Nova Scotia. And it was never really a Bermuda threat, too. So, but what's going to be kind of interesting is, Idalia and Franklin, now we're going to see Margot and Lee almost doing the same thing. But anyway, so far, we're up to 12 named storms, fixing to be... we don't even have Lee on this map, so we're fixing to go... We don't even have Margot on this map, so we actually have 14 storms. Nigel's next. David, the swells are going to be big, man, like 15, 20 foot right off the coast. 80 foot plus is the core of the system. Moist changed to juicy? Moist and juicy? Carol, I'm buying this drone. I don't know. I'll share it tomorrow. It's not a DJI. Bill wants his semi-tire rim is a good fire pit. Yeah, it's probably good. Problem is our ground is uneven. I got to keep it away from my oak tree. I kind of burned the bark. Tree's healthy though. I actually had an arborist make sure it was okay because we had our trees trimmed, and he said, the tree's fine. Hey, Julie from Niceville. We got another friend there, Katie and Greg. Oh, Hubbard, Marino. What's up, buddy? Yeah, well, I wanted one that had a higher wind rating. This one's got a wind rating of 8, and the GGIs aren't that high. And the geofencing, I think they call it, where there's been times that I've had to go through so many steps to be authorized to fly that I run out of time. You know, I got to be able to fly sometimes and not have to get all the OKs and the acceptance because I'm close to airspace. And, you know, usually they let you do it. It's just you got to hit OK, this, that. You know, and I do have I did sign up for the license. So I think I got to do it again, maybe. I don't know. Well, I will with the new drone. I registered my old drone. So I'll register the new drone too. Good morning, Bob. What's up? We're talking about steaks over there. Darn, it got me hungry now all of a sudden. I'm just looking for my bacon, egg, and cheese wrap coming. All right. Well, we went over everything. Hopefully you got a little information out of this. Thank you so much for watching on a Sunday morning. We don't do very many of these Sunday morning ones. I did pick out my cleanest dirty shirt. Mustang. You got to hear the comments, people. When I got a 69 Mustang I bought in 2001. And it's funny when I'm driving my truck. They're like, why are you wearing a Ford shirt? We are a family of all makes. We have all 4. We have a Dodge, we have a Chevy, we have a Ford, and we have a Tesla. So anyway. All right. Well, listen, we'll be back live tomorrow, our normal time. And we got a new advisory coming out for Lee. Probably not going to see much changes. Things pretty much certain. Biggest is going to be New England or Nova Scotia and Bermuda, obviously. So we got to see if they start tightening up that cone for our friends in Bermuda first. And then we're going to start watching our new area that's popping off of Africa. Unfortunately, tropics don't stop. Today is the peak season. I'm already in hurricane hangover. So, all right. See you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.